Enchanted embrace. In the heart of an ancient forest, where time seemed to fold upon itself and the air shimmered with an ethereal glow, there lay a hidden grove known only to a few. It was said that this grove was not bound by the laws of the mundane world, but by enchantments and secrets older than the stars. Within this grove stood an ancient tree with leaves like emerald flames, its roots weaving a tapestry of magic through the earth. This was the Enchanted Grove, a place where reality blurred into dream and desires danced in the moonlight. One moonlit night, as the silver beams filtered through the dense canopy, a young woman named Alara wandered into the grove. She was a scholar of the mystical and arcane, her curiosity leading her to this fabled place. Alara had heard tales of the Enchanted Grove's ability to fulfill one's deepest desires, and her heart fluttered with both excitement and trepidation as she stepped beneath the ancient tree. The grove was bathed in a gentle golden light, and the air was thick with the scent of wild flowers and magic. Alara approached the ancient tree, feeling a magnetic pull towards it. As her fingers brushed against its bark, a ripple of energy surged through her, making her skin tingle. The grove seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her next move. Suddenly, the ground beneath Alara began to shimmer, and a figure emerged from the shadows. He was a tall man with eyes like molten gold and hair as dark as the midnight sky. His presence was both commanding and alluring, and he wore an aura of timeless grace. He was the guardian of the Enchanted Grove, known in legends as the Shadowed Prince. "Welcome, Alara," the Shadowed Prince spoke, his voice like a silken caress. "You have entered a realm where dreams and desires intertwine. What is it that you seek?" Alara's heart raced as she gazed at him, captivated by his otherworldly beauty. "I seek knowledge and understanding of the magic that binds this grove," she replied, her voice barely more than a whisper. The Shadowed Prince smiled, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "Knowledge you shall have, but first you must confront the desires that lie within your own heart." Before Alara could respond, the ground beneath her shifted, and she found herself standing before a shimmering mirror. The mirror's surface rippled like liquid silver, and Alara could see not only her reflection, but also glimpses of her innermost yearnings, visions of passion, adventure, and longing. The mirror's magic seemed to beckon her, inviting her to explore the depths of her desires. As Alara stared into the mirror, a soft whispering filled the air, and the Shadowed Prince's voice echoed around her. "To embrace the magic of the grove, you must first embrace yourself. Let your desires flow freely, and the grove will reveal its secrets." Alara took a deep breath, her gaze locked on her reflection. The images in the mirror began to coalesce into a singular vision, a vision of a romantic encounter with the Shadowed Prince himself. The thought of being with him, of exploring the depths of their desires together, stirred a powerful longing within her. With a mixture of hesitation and anticipation, Alara stepped closer to the mirror, her fingers reaching out to touch its surface. As her hand made contact, the mirror's surface rippled, and she was drawn into a world of sensuality and enchantment. The forest around her transformed into a realm of opulent beauty. Delicate petals of moonlight danced upon the air, and the scent of blooming flowers filled her senses. The Shadowed Prince appeared beside her, his presence both soothing and electrifying. He took her hand, and their fingers entwined, creating a spark of magic that surged through their bodies. Alara and the Shadowed Prince moved together in a slow, mesmerizing dance, their bodies pressed close, their breaths mingling, and their hearts beating in sync. The grove's enchantment wrapped around them, intensifying their connection and drawing them closer together. Every touch, every caress was charged with the magic of the grove and the depths of their desires. As the night wore on, their passion grew more fervent. The Shadowed Prince's lips brushed against Alara's, sending shivers of pleasure through her. His touch was both tender and commanding, guiding her towards a crescendo of bliss. Alara surrendered to the sensations, allowing herself to be consumed by the magic of the moment. The grove seemed to come alive with their passion, the very trees and flowers vibrating with their energy. Alara and the Shadowed Prince lost themselves in each other, their bodies entwined in a dance of love and desire. The enchantment of the grove heightened every sensation, making their union a transcendent experience. As the first light of dawn began to break through the canopy, the grove's magic slowly receded, and Alara and the shadowed prince found themselves lying together beneath the ancient tree. Their bodies were sated, and their hearts were full. The enchantment had revealed not only the secrets of the grove, but also the depths of their own desires. Alara looked up at the shadowed prince, her eyes filled with wonder and gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, "for showing me the magic within myself and for fulfilling my deepest desires." The shadowed prince smiled, his eyes glowing with satisfaction. "The enchantment of the grove is a reflection of the magic within you, Alara. Embrace it, and you will find that the world is full of wonders." As Alara prepared to leave the enchanted grove, she felt a sense of renewal and clarity. The experience had been both magical and transformative, and she knew that she would carry its enchantment with her always. With one last glance at the ancient tree and the shadowed prince, she stepped out of the grove, ready to face the world with a heart full of dreams and desires. And so, the enchanted grove remained a timeless sanctuary, a place where dreams were woven into reality and desires were embraced with open arms. It was a place of magic and wonder, forever entwined with the hearts of those who dared to seek its secrets. As Alara stepped out of the enchanted grove, the forest around her felt different, more vibrant, more alive. The trees whispered secrets in the wind, and the earth beneath her feet seemed to pulse with the magic she had awakened. Every leaf, every blade of grass seemed to shimmer with the energy of the grove, as if the entire forest had become a living extension of the enchantment she had experienced. Alara's mind swirled with the memories of the night before. The shadowed prince, his touch, his kiss. They were imprinted on her soul. But more than that, she carried with her a newfound understanding of herself. The desires she had long buried, the dreams she had once thought impossible, were now within her grasp. The grove had not only revealed her innermost longings, but had also shown her the strength and magic she possessed to make them a reality. The journey back to her village felt surreal. The world outside the grove seemed dimmer, less magical, but Alara knew that the true magic was within her. She had tasted the power of the enchanted grove, and now she had to find a way to bring that magic into her everyday life. Days turned into weeks, and Alara's life began to change. She threw herself into her studies with renewed passion, delving deeper into the arcane arts, seeking to harness the power she had discovered. She became more attuned to the natural world, learning to listen to the whispers of the wind, the murmur of the streams, and the songs of the birds. The magic of the grove had heightened her senses, and she began to perceive the subtle energies that flowed through all things. But even as she grew stronger in her craft, Alara found herself haunted by memories of the shadowed prince. His presence lingered in her thoughts, a constant reminder of the passion they had shared. At night, she would dream of the grove, of their embrace, and wake with a yearning that no amount of magic could satisfy. The more she tried to focus on her studies, the more she longed for the enchanted realm where her desires had been laid bare. One night, unable to resist the pull any longer, Alara returned to the forest. The moon was high, casting a silver glow over the trees as she made her way back to the enchanted grove. The journey felt like a dream, the forest seeming to part before her, guiding her back to the place where everything had begun. When she finally reached the grove, she found it just as she had left it. The ancient tree stood tall, its emerald leaves glowing softly in the moonlight. The air was thick with magic, and the scent of wildflowers filled her senses. But the shadowed prince was nowhere to be seen. "Alara," a voice called out, soft and familiar. She turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows, but it was not the shadowed prince. Instead, it was a woman, her hair flowing like molten silver, her eyes like sapphires in the night. She moved with a grace that seemed to defy gravity, her feet barely touching the ground as she approached. "I am Lysandra," the woman said, her voice melodic and soothing, "the guardian of the ancient tree and the keeper of its secrets." Alara bowed her head in reverence. "I seek the shadowed prince," she admitted, her voice tinged with longing. "I cannot stop thinking of him." Lysandra's eyes softened with understanding. "The shadowed prince is a manifestation of your deepest desires, Alara. He exists within the grove, yes, but he also exists within you. He is a reflection of your own power, your own magic. Alara frowned, confused. But he felt so real, our connection. It was more than just a reflection. Lysandra smiled gently. The magic of the grove is ancient and complex. It taps into the desires of the heart and brings them to life. The Shadowed Prince was drawn to you because of the strength of your longing, and in that moment he became real. But his existence is tied to the grove, to the magic that created him. He is as much a part of this place as the trees and the earth. Alara's heart ached at the thought. So, I can never be with him outside the grove? Lysandra shook her head. The Shadowed Prince cannot leave this realm, but the love, the passion you experienced, those are yours to carry with you. The magic you awakened here is within you, and it is yours to shape and wield in the world beyond. Alara felt a tear slip down her cheek. But what if I want him? What if I want to be with him again? Lysandra stepped closer, her hand resting gently on Alara's shoulder. Then you must return to the grove whenever your heart calls you back. The enchanted grove will always welcome you, and the Shadowed Prince will be here, waiting. Alara nodded, understanding the bittersweet truth. The grove had given her a gift, a glimpse into her own soul, but it had also revealed the fleeting nature of desire. The Shadowed Prince was a part of her, yet he was also bound to the magic of the grove, a magic that could not be taken out into the world. As Alara left the grove once more, she carried with her a deeper understanding of the nature of desire and the power of magic. The world outside the grove might seem ordinary, but Alara knew that the true magic lay within her. She had touched the depths of her own heart, and in doing so had found the strength to embrace her desires and her power. The enchanted grove would always be there, a place of wonder and enchantment where dreams could become reality and desires could be fulfilled. And whenever her heart called her back, Alara would return, ready to once again step into the embrace of the grove and the magic it held. In the years that followed, Alara became a renowned sorceress, her name whispered in awe across the lands. Her power was unmatched, her wisdom sought by kings and scholars alike. But no one knew the true source of her strength, the secret she held close to her heart. For it was in the enchanted grove that Alara had found herself, had found the magic that had shaped her destiny. And though she continued to walk the path of the arcane, Alara never forgot the grove or the Shadowed Prince who had awakened her desires. She would return to the grove often, seeking solace in its embrace, and each time the Shadowed Prince would be there, waiting to welcome her back into the world of enchantment and desire. Together, they would dance beneath the ancient tree, their love a timeless echo of the magic that bound them. And in those moments, Alara knew that though the world outside might change, the enchanted grove would remain a sanctuary of dreams, a place where her heart could always find its way back home. As the years passed, Alara's visits to the enchanted grove became more than just a retreat into the world of magic and desire. They became a part of her very existence. The bond she shared with the Shadowed Prince deepened with each encounter, their connection transcending the boundaries of time and space. Yet, every time she returned to the world outside, she carried with her the bittersweet ache of leaving him behind. Alara's fame as a sorceress grew, and she became known as the Enchantress of the Grove, a title that hinted at the source of her immense power. Many sought her guidance, believing she held the key to unlocking the mysteries of the arcane. But while she offered her wisdom to those who came to her, Alara kept the true secret of her power, her connection to the enchanted grove, hidden from all but a select few. One day, a young man named Kale arrived at Alara's door, seeking her help. He was a prince from a distant land, his kingdom threatened by a dark curse that was slowly consuming everything in its path. The curse, he explained, had emerged from a deep forest, much like the one that housed the enchanted grove, and no magic he had encountered so far could stop it. Alara listened to Kale's plea, her heart heavy with the weight of his words. The description of the forest, the origins of the curse, it all sounded eerily familiar, as if the darkness that now threatened Kale's kingdom was tied to the same magic that dwelled within the grove. The curse, Kale said, his voice filled with desperation, is unlike anything we've ever seen. It twists the land, turning it barren and lifeless. It saps the strength of our people, leaving them weak and hopeless. If we cannot find a way to break it, my kingdom will be lost. Alara's mind raced as she considered the possibilities. The magic of the grove was ancient and powerful, capable of both creation and destruction. If this curse was indeed connected to the same source, then the answer might lie within the enchanted grove itself. "I will help you, Kale," Alara finally said, her voice resolute. "But to do so, we must journey to a place that few have ever seen. A place where the boundaries between reality and magic blur, where desires and fears take on a life of their own. We must go to the enchanted grove." Kale's eyes widened in awe and fear. He had heard tales of the grove, of its wonders and its dangers, but he had never imagined that such a place could hold the key to saving his kingdom. Without hesitation, Kale agreed to accompany Alara on the journey. They set out at dawn, leaving behind the safety of Alara's home and venturing into the heart of the ancient forest. The path was treacherous, the air thick with the weight of the magic that permeated the land. But Alara was undeterred, her steps guided by the bond she shared with the grove. As they neared the grove, the atmosphere shifted. The trees grew taller and more twisted, their branches reaching out like skeletal hands. The air grew colder, and a sense of foreboding settled over them. Kale could feel the magic pulsing around them, a dark, oppressive force that seemed to push against them with every step. Finally, they reached the edge of the enchanted grove. The ancient tree stood tall in the center, its emerald leaves glowing softly in the dim light. But the grove was not as Alara remembered it. The once vibrant colors were muted, and the air was heavy with a darkness that had never been there before. Alara's heart clenched as she realized what had happened. The curse that had plagued Kale's kingdom had found its way into the enchanted grove, corrupting the very magic that had once been a source of beauty and desire. "We must act quickly," Alara said, her voice firm. "The grove is in danger, and if we do not stop the curse, it will spread beyond this forest, consuming everything in its path." Kale nodded, determination in his eyes. "What must we do?" Alara took a deep breath, her mind racing as she searched for a solution. The curse was powerful, but so was the magic of the grove. If they could harness that power, they might be able to drive the darkness out. "There is a ritual," Alara explained, "one that can cleanse the grove of the curse. But it requires great sacrifice. The magic of the grove is tied to the desires of those who enter it. To cleanse it, we must confront our deepest fears and desires and offer them to the grove. Only then can the curse be purged." Kale's resolve did not waver. "I am ready." Alara nodded, her heart heavy with the knowledge of what lay ahead. Together, they stepped into the center of the grove, standing beneath the ancient tree. The air crackled with energy, the curse pressing down on them like a weight. As they began the ritual, the grove responded, the ground beneath them pulsing with magic. The ancient tree's leaves glowed brighter, casting a soft light over the grove. But as the ritual progressed, the darkness fought back, twisting the light into shadows. Alara and Kale stood side by side, their voices rising in unison as they called upon the magic of the grove. The ground beneath them trembled, and the air grew thick with the scent of wildflowers and decay. The curse seemed to fight back, wrapping around them like a suffocating shroud. Alara closed her eyes, focusing on the bond she shared with the grove. She could feel the presence of the shadowed prince, his strength and power intertwined with her own. His voice whispered in her mind, urging her to embrace the magic within her, to let go of her fears and desires. With a deep breath, Alara opened her heart to the grove, offering up her deepest desires and fears. She felt the magic surge within her, a torrent of energy that flowed through her and into the grove. The ground beneath her feet began to pulse with a rhythmic beat, the ancient tree glowing brighter with each passing moment. Kale followed suit, his voice steady as he poured his own desires and fears into the ritual. The air around them crackled with power, the magic of the grove responding to their sacrifice. The darkness that had taken root in the grove began to recede, the shadows pulling back as the light of the ancient tree grew stronger. For a moment, it seemed as if they might succeed. The curse wavered, the darkness retreating as the magic of the grove surged. But just as victory seemed within reach, the curse lashed out, a final, desperate attempt to consume the grove. Alara felt the curse's power clawing at her, trying to drag her down into the darkness. but she refused to give in. She reached out with her magic, drawing on every ounce of strength she had. The bond she shared with the grove, with the shadowed prince, surged within her, a beacon of light in the darkness. With a final, powerful surge of magic, Alara and Kale drove the curse out of the grove. The darkness shattered, dissipating like smoke in the wind. The grove was filled with light, the ancient tree glowing with a brilliance that rivaled the sun. Exhausted but triumphant, Alara and Kale collapsed to the ground, the weight of the ritual lifting from their shoulders. The grove was safe, its magic restored, and the curse was no more. As Alara lay on the ground, her body spent from the effort, she felt a familiar presence beside her. The shadowed prince appeared. His golden eyes filled with warmth and gratitude. He knelt beside her, his hand gently brushing against her cheek. "You have saved the grove," he said softly, his voice filled with reverence. "And in doing so, you have saved the magic that binds us together." Alara smiled weakly, her heart swelling with love for the shadowed prince. "It was your strength, your magic, that made it possible," she whispered. "I couldn't have done it without you." The shadowed prince leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. "You are stronger than you know, Alara. The magic of the grove is within you, as it has always been. But now it is bound to you in a way that cannot be broken." As the light of the grove began to fade into the soft glow of dawn, Alara knew that her connection to the shadowed prince and the enchanted grove had deepened in a way she had never imagined. The magic they had shared was no longer just a source of power. It was a bond that transcended time and space, a love that would endure for eternity. Kale, recovering from the ritual's toll, approached them, his expression filled with awe and gratitude. "Alara," he said, his voice trembling with emotion, "you have not only saved my kingdom, but you have also shown me a magic beyond anything I ever believed possible. How can I ever repay you?" Alara shook her head, a gentle smile on her lips. "There is no need for repayment, Kale. The grove has been restored and your kingdom is safe. That is all the reward I need." Kale bowed deeply, his respect for Alara evident in his every movement. "You are a true sorceress, Alara. The legends of your power do not do you justice." Alara watched as Kale departed the grove, returning to his kingdom with the knowledge that his people were safe. As the last of the dawn light filtered through the trees, she turned back to the shadowed prince.